Well, what's the take of foreign investors on these proposed measures and the president's threat to oligarchs in his fifth SONA? We find out from Martial Beck, the former executive vice president of the European Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Beck, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. We all heard President Rodrigo Duterte during his SONA taking a swipe at big business. In your view, will this make foreign investors think twice about investing in the country and see the Philippines as a risky investment?
Well, Rico, I mean, having worked in the European Chamber, I know how difficult it is to convince foreign companies to choose the Philippines as a location. We were able to do that. Many other chambers work towards that aim. The government itself works hard to attract foreign direct investors. So certainly the pronouncements made recently are probably going to scare some investors away, I'm afraid, yes.
But of course, on the flip side, Marshall, you have both houses of Congress trying to push for this so-called CREATE bill, which will reduce corporate income tax from 30 to 25%. And of course, the focus of this bill is to attract foreign investors. So could this all go to nothing given that the rules could change any time under this administration?
Well, tax incentives are welcome and they are a necessary tool to attract foreign investors. Other countries use them as well. So, and in other countries, even neighboring countries in Asia, taxes are even lower than in the Philippines. So the CREATE law would be definitely a step in the right direction. But as you say, anything can happen, and it is not just the tax incentives that will attract investors here. Other things matter. The sanctity of contracts are very important when you talk to investors from other countries. They want to be sure that once they choose the Philippines as a destination, their investments will be safe here, that there is not going to be any law or any decision that could suddenly jeopardize their investment.
And apart from that, you also have the ease of doing business. In the Philippines, there's still a bureaucracy where it still takes weeks or months to be able to incorporate and set up an enterprise in the country.
Yes, it is sometimes difficult, but I had heard also good news in that sense. Rico, there are companies that have experienced sometimes faster processing. In our case, we are located in a PEZA zone, so that has been very easy. But you're right, every single detail counts when you want to convince investors to set up shop, or even for local companies to start a business. It has to be easy, it has to be swift, and the government has to do this in the right way.
And of course, the benchmark, of course, in Southeast Asia is Singapore, where you can incorporate and set up a business in just 3 to 5 days. Let's take a look at the Bayanihan 2 Act, Marshall. It has a 50 billion peso component to help small and medium-sized enterprises. You own a small business and you are a general manager of a medium-sized enterprise. Will this be enough to help your businesses and other SMEs to tide over during this challenging period?
Well, it is certainly welcome to get any assistance, from the government, but how easy will it really be to get these funds is the question here. Right now, it is not yet very clear how these funds will be made available. I'm hopeful that we can access these funds and that other companies can access these funds. So let us hope that they will be dispensed swiftly and fairly.
So from what you've seen as an observer and a business owner, what can you suggest to the government and to Congress to help alleviate the plight of small and medium-sized businesses in the Philippines?
Well, I would say that what is important is that, especially in a period like what we're going through now, where many people are suffering in their private lives, companies are suffering because they cannot be as efficient as they should be because their workers cannot report to work because there is no public transportation. So, it has been really very tough the last 5-6 months. And so I think this is the time that the government should be even more consistent in its policies, consistent in what it declares. The world is watching what is happening in the Philippines. Companies are considering the Philippines as a location to invest in. So the dialogue with the general public and with those investors has to be clear, and there should be no surprises and certainly no shocking pronouncements.
And that is what foreign investors want, stability in government. Thank you so much for your insights. Martial Beck, the former Executive Vice President of the European Chamber of Commerce, joining us from Laguna.